I mean, yes, ginagalang namin and binibigyan naming respeto and syempre, mag-way talaga yon pag dumating ang panahon na may mag-file ng impeachment complaint.
By grounds for impeachment under the Constitution and also the rules of impeachment of the House of Representatives and 24 articles of impeachment ang enumerate and discussed under those four or five basic grounds for impeachment and duly endorsed by Representative Percy Sendanya. So ito na po. Napasa ko na po kanina. Yung mga complainants kanina. As assisted.
Baka po ulitin lang po natin. Nakatayo naman po dito sa harapan yung complainants. Pakilala na lang po muli tayo. Simulan po natin siguro dito.
Teresita Ginting, Casveras.
Eugene Gonzalez ng Mandalo, complainant.
Legislative branch, and we know naman from his statement it's actually a plea. No, it's advice. He's not really trying to tell the legislative what to do. But given that we are the legislative and this is a constitutional mandate po, no? Nasa constitution natin yung process of impeachment, I think we are duty bound to not really entertain but to hear out if there are any impeachment complaints filed. Although tama po si Congresswoman Zamora, we have yet to hear of any impeachment complaint, but should it be filed, we have to give it due process in the sense that we'll hear it out, check the merits. But of course, given what the President has said, that might play into how we would appreciate the same. But I think it would be unfair to say that outright we will say no kasi trabaho po natin yun under the Constitution as part of the legislative branch.
So sir, just Mr. Ma'am, just because President Marcos said that message, hindi ibig sabihin no na magi-slow down yung House of Representatives with its investigation on the Vice President as well as the past administration doon sa mga Quadcom hearings.
I think just to answer po, we have to make a distinction. Our Quadcom hearings and the good government hearings are not in any way related to impeachment. Although there are people who would have that opinion na yung lumalabas dito sa mga hearings ito would be a ground, that would be a separate thing. We have our different agenda for the different committees, and we are still pursuing these hearings in relation to our functions sa committee. It should not be taken that if the President made a statement about impeachment, that would in any way affect the functions of the committee. Separate naman po yun. But if, however, some people would find basis to file any complaint based on what they found there, then that's something that would be a separate procedure altogether po.
In addition to that, I think what we're doing at the Quadcom is really to strengthen our policies, no? Amend certain policies na medyo may mga loopholes when it comes to the auditing standards, no? How we can account public funds that are being spent, no? According to joint circular, kasi ngayon we're talking about the joint circular memorandum. So we're looking at that and to pass legislations. This is entirely in aid of legislation. So tama nga yung sinabi ni Kong Rog, this has nothing to do with a possible impeachment complaint. So kailangan ma-separate. We have to, the term is compartmentalize the issue.
Ilan po yung questions ka from mine. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Dwight. Before I call the next reporter to ask question, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Assistant Majority Leader J. Kung Sambala. Sir, thank you for joining us today. And if you want, you can also join the table. Sandro Chona from Billionario TV, you're recognized.
Good morning, sirs and ma'am. Na-mention ni Secgen na we may not have enough time kasi sabi niya they need at least 10 session days to act on an impeachment complaint. Kung i-file ngayon, your thoughts on that, sir? So, pwede bang tanggapin? Paano po ba? Pwedeng tanggapin and then maybe next year na?
I think our Secretary General will be answering based on the House rules that they know. I don't know if you could speak on behalf of them. We are all neophytes here. This would be our first to entertain that. But if that is his opinion, then I think that should be, it has some weight naman po. No? But as for, on my part personally, I'm not aware of the limitation. If I understand the rules right, it must be acted upon within 10 days. So pwede naman right after, but I could be mistaken. So baka dun pa nanggagaling si Secretary General Velasco.
So pwedeng next year na lang. Pwedeng next year na lang po.
Well, I think the Secretary General is speaking on the practicality of time. He wasn't really saying about the acceptance or receiving any complaint. So, kung 10 days siya, if that's according to the rules, how many days are left before we call for a break? No? 10 days. 9 session days. So I guess the Secretary General is well informed about the rules. So probably the practicality of time, that would also be a problem. I guess it's a challenge.
Thank you. Vivian Gule from ABS-CBN.
Wala akong natanggap na text eh. No, no, of course, we're going to put weight. Bibigyan namin naman ng, kukonsidera namin yung message niya. Una sa lahat, again, 11-12 na, wala pa rin kaming, wala talaga. Sa totoo lang, and kayo naman, nandito kayo araw-araw, wala pa rin, malalaman niyo yan kung meron na, pero wala pa kaming natatanggap. So, wala. I mean, yes, ginagalang namin and binibigyan naming respeto and syempre, mag-weigh talaga yon pag dumating ang panahon na may mag-file ng impeachment complaint.
Just in addition to that lang po, I just want to categorize. I don't think order naman po yun. Kasi like we said, separate naman po yung executive and legislative. Pero ang kagandaan naman po with the government now, it's very open lines of communication. We've experienced that po kami sa legislative. Although our functions may not be executive, when we have comments, opinions, they're always open. The secretaries, the president, and all the way down the line, they're very open po for communicating with us. And I think that's what's happening now the same way. I wouldn't call it a suggestion. Perhaps it's an advice, given his wisdom of what he sees in the situation. So, po. But I really don't think that is an order po, no? Because that's a different jurisdiction naman ng powers natin. Thank you.
Well, in addition to that, tama, re-echo yung statement po ng mga kasamahan ko dito. Of course, we would respect the position of the President and we value his guidance, no? Pero sabi nga, hindi yun directive, no? It's an appeal actually, if you look at it. If it's an appeal, so that speaks about, again, the character of the President respecting the independence of the legislative. Because if it's done directing the members or the leadership, that is in a way intervening, but the message was actually an appeal, requesting for possible, not to entertain, possibly, no, not to entertain. Actually, the statement of the President was, when he was interviewed, ang sabi niya is it was a private message, and that was a plea, no? And that was a plea. So it only speaks about the President's respecting the independence of a co-equal branch.
Thank you.
Second question.
Okay, go ahead, Vivian.
You did mention na parang patuloy pa rin, tama ba, yung mga investigasyon ng Quadcom, separate yung investigations ng Quadcom and ng Good Government on the OVP confidential funds. But sa schedule this week, parang wala po ako nakitang schedule ng hearing this week, whereas in the past, parang every week may hearings. How should we take this po? Wala po bang slowing down kumbaga doon sa mga hearings?
Well, it also depends kasi on the availability of our resource persons. So once we schedule the Quadcom, once we schedule the next committee hearing, we also consider yung availability ng possible na magiging resource persons. Kasi of course, kailangan mong pag magkukwad ka o maghihiring ka, kailangan lahat ng tatanungin mong tanong at yung dapat na tanungin tao ay nandoon. So, yung scheduling naman is, I guess, wala pa, it's not official, but we're looking at possibly this within the week. No? Magkakaroon po ng continuation of the hearing ng Quad.
Just to add lang po siguro, dahil lang po wala sa schedule, tapos hindi po tuloy, like we mentioned, I think we're of the opinion, but we understand from what's happening sa Congress is that tuloy pa rin naman po yung ating mga hearings. It's just that as of now, although wala siya sa schedule, we have to take note under our rules, we have 3-day notice. So it could still happen. Or we have hearings from Mondays to Friday, so it could still be like either today or tomorrow we might receive the notice. But in addition to that, just what we've heard, I think one thing to also consider, although it's not a slowing down, it's Christmas season, mahirap na rin po, all of our congressmen also have to be in the district, they have to be with their respective constituencies. So that might be one consideration aside from po yung sa resource person. So just because wala po sa schedule doesn't mean hindi po tuloy. It's just a matter of time, scheduling yun po siguro.
Thank you.
Thank
po.
you.
Thank you, Vivian. Big Simintak from Net 25.
Morning po. Sir, regarding dun sa issue ng time constraint natin, kasi 9 session days na lang, tapos according to SecGen, 10 days kung sakaling mag-file yung to act on the impeachment complaint. All in all, sabi niya, doon sa procession yon 130 days. So, papasok na tayo by February ng election session. Pero, based on our observation on the previous impeachment, like for example, the impeachment case of former President Joseph Estrada, may isang mode na pwedeng i-shortcut siya. Now, what you need only is to get the 1/3 signature of the member of the House of Representatives in order to para mabuo yung tinatawag na article of impeachment. May we know kung sa leadership, sa majority, aside from the statement coming from the President, kung talagang may balak na i-impeach si Vice President, nasa agenda ba ng majority using the shortcut method?
Well, yung sa kay former President, that's a direct action taken by the House previously. So, ito kasi, sinasabi nga namin, there's no advice, we don't actually discuss about impeachment, no? And parati ho namin sinasabi to, there's no official or there's no formal discussion or talks among the leadership, and even sa amin po, about a possible filing of the impeachment. Actually, ang naririnig po natin na may ready for filing yung kanilang complaint are yung mga ibang grupo po outside. But as far as the leadership is concerned, that is, to me, within 9 days, na sinasabi ni SecGen, that cannot happen because it only possible if the House directly has taken action on the complaint, meaning if you have secured, I guess, a number of signatures of the House, that's the time that you can actually talk about impeachment directly in the plenary. So hindi mo mangyayari yun.
Well, again, we aren't in any discussion of any specific process na or method na gagamitin because as emphasized, wala namang nagpa-file pa.
But just to answer lang po yung question, I think because it's theoretical. Yeah, there are the 3 modes po, no? And I think it would be correct to say that by the 3rd mode, if you're able to secure 1/3 signatures, it would go directly. So just to answer the question, if I understood it correctly, tama po, that would be a way siguro around the 10-day rule. However, as mentioned, it really would depend. Kasi practically speaking, wala pa pong nangyayari. Because you have to take note, it's not just magic po, yung 1/3 number of signatures, that's quite a lot, it's 100 plus. So kung meron man, there should be word about it right now, and unfortunately we don't. We've always been consistent when we say po na we haven't heard about impeachment, usually it's from the outside. Before it came from other camps, now we're hearing about complaints from private citizens, pero that's still outside pa po. So technically speaking, nothing has started, so we can't really speak about yung timeline po.
Thank you. Marian Enriquez from TV5.
Would you like to comment po dun sa recently sinabi po ni VP Sara Duterte, I think in response po dun sa statement po ni Congressman Conjun regarding dun sa, nag-stem po lahat nitong gulo nung the past weekend dahil dun sa kanyang ambisyon tumakbo. And I would like to quote, VP Sara Duterte said, "The presidency of 2022 was mine already. Nanalo na ako sa surveys, lahat ng tao solid na united na for my candidacy. Pero I gave it away because I felt I had to do some other things other than being President of the Republic of the Philippines." So, kindly, would you like to comment on that?
Then why didn't she run? If she had it in the bag, she should have... Dapat tumakbo siya. I mean, 2025 na eh. 20, di ba? Ngayon mo pa sasabihin yan. Di sana tumakbo siya. Tsaka yung presidency, kita naman nating lahat sa history, destiny yan. Eh, kung talagang para sa kanya yon, then dapat para sa kanya yon. Sorry, kasi di ba, I mean, what was that statement for? Then she should have filed to be president, to run for president, but she didn't. She filed to run for vice president, and now she's our vice president. So, that's what it is. Yun siya.
Would you also like to comment on this statement? Yes. I think this is particularly for the House members. Huwag nila ako i-gaslight into saying na ako ang dahilan ng kaguluhan na ito. Ang kaguluhan na ito ay nagsimula sa terrorism nila, sa harassment nila, sa threats nila sa mga personnel of the office of the Vice President. I mean, particularly about the Good Government Committee hearing po.
Miss Marian. Hindi. To put it quite frankly, hindi naman, if there's smoke, there's fire. Yung mga ganyan naman, it started with a speech of Congressman Valeriano, dinala sa committee, nag-hearing, and in the course of those hearings, ang daming lumabas. Ang daming acknowledgement receipts, ang daming lumabas na pwede naman sanang sagutin. And it's not gaslighting. Again, it is what it is. Ang dami, hindi naman, di ba, kami, nagpapagod kami, nagpupuyat kami para silipin yung mga dokumento na yon, para isa-isahin. And ang dami naming nakikita. In fact, marami pa kaming nakita na hindi pa namin na itatanong. So, hindi siya terrorism on our part na we're terrorizing the OVP. Had they answered the questions from the very beginning, then sana tapos na sana yung mga hearings ngayon. Ang problema, they spent so much time not attending the hearings, and now that they are attending, di ba? So, kung sana nung umpisa pa lang, pumunta na sila, then sana tapos na, nasagot na sana nila. Yun lang.
But ganito kasi Maria, no? We're actually promote what we're trying to exercise here is the mandate of this office. I mean the mandate of the legislature. The only way for us to really find out is to hold these inquiries, no? And to hold anybody accountable. Yun lang man talaga yung pinaka gusto natin mangyari in aid of legislation. Tama pa yung sinabi ni Kong Pami na we are not pinpointing a specific person here. It's just to happen that the allegation of misuse of public funds are all directed to the office which he occupies right now, which the Vice President occupies right now. Hindi naman ho natin kasalanan yun, di ba? Sabi nga ni Pami Tadhana, nagkataon po na naging Vice President siya. So number one, the issue is there. There are so many questions that up to now have not fully answered. There are so many questions and the manner by which these confidential funds were spent. There are questionable ARs, which I guess only the officers in charge of encashing these funds and redistributing these funds, releasing these funds, can be fully supply us the answers, the correct answers. Unfortunately, during the course of our investigation, there seems to be an evasion, a direct evasion, to a point that there was a deliberate refusal to attend, to a point of, sa palagay ho namin sa committee, it's an attempt to frustrate the committee in finding out the truth and for a possible filing of a sound legislation that can rectify these wrongs. So ganun lang po. I think we should focus on the issue and not to not to dwell on concerns that may divert our attention, which is to hold anybody accountable and to promote transparency in government.
In addition po siguro, and to answer the question of Marian of TV5, I think the two quotes mentioned were interrelated in the sense na nalilis po yung issue. She's answering the issue by bringing up politics, yung presidency. But I think what we have to note here is that this issue goes way back po, no? Before the Good Government Committee and before people were talking about dahil po ito ay in relation to the presidency, whether 2022 or 2028, we had questions na po. And this started with no other than yung sa budget hearings natin, which was supposed to be sponsored by Congressman Adyong.
Yes.
Yun po, doon po yung nagsimula. Before anything on politics or anything about which camp or what, the question is really how the budget was spent, how the confidential funds were spent, and the failure to attend to that, the failure to defend it, although it had its corresponding slash in the budget, it's not sufficient po, and kaya nga po pumasok yung good government. So, to answer the issue by saying po that this is related to politics, I hope we could set that aside. Whether a certain person feels na sa kanyang presidency, dati naman, or if it's about the future presidency, we have to set it aside because what we're talking about here is yung accountability doon sa expenditure of the confidential funds. And it just goes to show, it goes back to that point. We've had this question during the budget, we've had it near the committee hearings, and we will continue to have it until we have answers. If the OVP officials, what was the term a while ago, terrorizing or harassing, had they appeared earlier, had they answered our questions during the budget, baka tapos na po yung we wouldn't have had to come to that committee hearing. So I think that's where we're coming from. This is a mandate constitution, power of the purse, together with oversight. Yun lang naman po yung inatupag po namin dito. Yeah. Thank you.
Kayo na magpa-file ng ating impeachment complaint yan. Para po magpakilala yung mga complainant, mga babalik sa isa, magpakilala, simulan po natin sa aking kaliwa.
Sige, hindi po sila civic society.
Robert Reyes po. May binotes po sa civil society.
From the academy and from every women civil society.
Sumite ang kanila po.
I will formally receive the complaint. Atras kayo, atras kayo. Atras lang, sir. Wala yung report na. Atras. Una no isa. Panic, ha? Nagbigay na spray. Panic.
Verified complaint for impeachment signed by 17 complainants. Duly verified. As I said, by grounds for impeachment under the Constitution and also the rules of impeachment of the House of Representatives and 24 articles of impeachment ang enumerate and discussed under those 4 or 5 basic grounds for impeachment and duly endorsed by Representative Percy Sendanya. So ito na po. Nabasa ko na po kanina. Yung mga complainants kanina. As assisted.
Baka po ulitin lang po natin. Nakatayo naman po dito sa harapan yung complainants. Pakilala na lang po muli tayo. Simulan po natin siguro dito.
Eugene Gonzalez ng Magdalo, complainant.
Section, ito po yung mga complainants natin. Ito po yung verified complaint. At nandito po yung resolution of endorsement mula sa Akbayan Party. So, at sinusuportahan po natin ito pong mga brave and courageous citizens who's making this historic impeachment complaint against the Vice President. Sana po sa pamamagitan ng complaint na ito, maisara na natin yung bangungot na dulot ng ating pong Vice President sa taong bayan. Maisara na ng taong bayan ang bangungot na dulot ni Sara.
Ito po yung endorsement at yan po yung complaint. At the second, ayun, patras na konti.
Dito naman, face here po. This way, Secretary, this way naman po. Thank you po. Baba na ako. Ayan, nakibaba na ako.
Okay. Alright, thank you, sir. Thank you. Ganito po mangyayari. Sir, paano? Ipapareceive namin formal ito, itong document. And then I'll deliver a short statement sa complaint. So, kita lang, bibigyan mo namin kayo ng copy nyo para sa receipt.
Sir, this is a
This is a copy.
Sir, verify pa lang.
Verify na.
Oh.
Verify na ba?
I have a statement to make, no? Then, I have enough copies, so mabibigyan kayo lahat, ha?
Quiet, please. Hindi na.
Okay lang po ba?
Okay na?
Sige po.
Okay. At 4:30 p.m. today, the Office of the Secretary General received an impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, filed by civil society groups. The House of Representatives is constitutionally mandated to act on any impeachment complaint filed in accordance with the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Pursuant to the Constitution, a verified complaint for impeachment may be filed by any member of the House of Representatives or by any citizen upon a resolution of endorsement by any member thereof. It is crucial to underscore that addressing an impeachment complaint is not a discretionary act for the House of Representatives, but a constitutional obligation. The Constitution prescribes clear steps to ensure fairness and adherence to the rule of law. Impeachment proceedings are vital to preserve the integrity of the institution and affirming the principle that public officials are accountable to the people they serve. Accordingly, the House of Representatives will proceed with its duties on this matter, strictly adhering to the Constitution, its rules, the principles of due process. The House of Representatives remains committed to conducting the proceedings with transparency, impartiality, and full respect for the rule of law. The constitutional mandate is a vital function of Congress in maintaining public trust in government institutions. We call on all parties to allow the legal process to take its course, ensuring the truth and justice will prevail. Thank you. So ito po ang kopya ng aking statement. Yun kung what's next, we will deliver another update, no? Yan lang po ang statement na i-deliver ko ngayon.